Hello and welcome to my channel, Home with Sarah Jane. Today I wanted to share with you what I chose to do for our author studies for second semester. So the first author that we decided to do was Stan Lee. Over winter break, we watched all of the Marvel movies, so I just thought that this would be a really cool book to read so that we can learn more about Stan Lee. So we read through this book, and then we also played the Guess in 10 Marvel. And then I also purchased blank comic books, one for each of my girls, so that they can make their own comic book. My youngest daughter really enjoyed doing this. These are just blank pages that they get to fill out and make their own story or comic. But my youngest really enjoyed this. She doesn't like writing, so this, really helped with that. She actually would stay up at night trying to write more of her stories. So this really did help with that. The next author that we did was Who Was Dr. Seuss, and we read Who Was Dr. Seuss. And then we just picked a whole bunch of different books by Dr. Seuss. So we read One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish, Fox in Socks, The Cat in the Hat Comes Back, The Foot Book, Green Eggs and Ham, The Sneetches. My kids really enjoyed this one. Oh, the Places You'll Go, The Lorax. We did end up watching the movie with this one. My kids really liked it. If I Ran the Circus, Horton Hears a Who. And with this one, we did end up watching the movie as well. And Horton Hatches the Egg. We did end up watching the newest, cartoon Grinch movie, but we didn't reread the book. We just, threw that movie in. And then for our next author, we did Who Was Nellie Bly. I also purchased this book, Nellie Bly, an investigative journalism for kids with 21 activities. So this book, again, these kind of have the same information in them. So this one, we just like doing the activities out of as well. So I read through this one, but only picked pieces of this book out to use. After that, we studied, who did we study? I think it was Jane Austen before, yeah. So we studied Who is Jane Austen? And then I also have the Jane Austen for Kids with 21 activities. And again, I only picked out certain pieces from this book to use. We did watch some movies. We watched Emma, Pride and Prejudice, and Sense and Sensibility. My youngest didn't care for any of those movies. My oldest only liked Sense and Sensibility. She said the other one she didn't care for. So they really enjoyed learning about Jane Austen, but when it came to watching the movies, they weren't into that part of it. The next author we did was Mark Twain. So we read Who Was Mark Twain? And we had already read The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, so I ended up picking out The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. And that's all we really did for Mark Twain. I think this one only lasted us 2 weeks, and Jane Austen only lasted us about 2 weeks, but the other authors took us almost a month to study. So this one and this one were our shorter ones. And then one of my kids' favorites was Who Was Beatrix Potter? So we did this one around Easter. My kids really enjoyed reading about Beatrix Potter. And then we also had a coloring book of Beatrix Potter. I think this one is The Tale of Peter Rabbit. So my kids enjoyed coloring the pictures while listening to the stories. And then we read this book, The Complete Tales of Beatrix Potter. So my kids really enjoyed this book. They really enjoyed the pictures. It was one of their favorite author studies that we've done for second semester. And then this one was just kind of thrown in because we had finished one of them too fast. I think it was Beatrix Potter. Not too fast. She took us I think almost a month. But we threw in Who Was Walt Whitman? And then we just read from The Poetry for Young People, Walt Whitman. And again, this one only took us about 2 weeks. This is a pretty thin book. Okay, so for the last author of the year, and we'll be spending about 5 weeks on this one, we are going to be studying William Shakespeare. So we will be reading Who Was William Shakespeare? And then I also have the Shakespeare for Kids, His Life and Times with 21 Activities. Again, I will pick and choose what I want out of this book. We will also be using, what is this? Poetry for Young People, William Shakespeare. The Taming of the Shrew. Macbeth. And Antony and Cleopatra. So these books, these ones here, these are all for like kids. They've been, revised. So if you look, they're kind of like just little chapter books. And then the last thing I have to help us study Shakespeare is this Shakespeare Fandex. And this just kind of goes over more of his work. So I just thought that this would be just a good resource. Oh, I messed it up. No. Okay, it's fine. So, those are the author studies that we studied for second semester. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Thank you so much for stopping by. Bye.